Geek Insider presents Geek Speak with Matthew Harris and Meredith Loughlin. We cover entertainment, news, and tech with special guest appearances. So sit back and enjoy as we geek out together right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Geek Speak. I am Matthew Harris, and of course, with me, as always, is my partner in crime, Meredith Loughlin. But tonight, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube, we have Billy Tucci, who is the creator of the Eisner nominated She. And folks, I have been a fan of this comic since before it even came out. And so I am super stoked to have Billy Tucci with us. Billy and his wife, Deborah, which we've been talking to her for like 30 minutes.
I know.
Billy was tied up. And so we've gotten to know Deborah quite well.
Was he really tied up? Was he really tied up?
Nylon rope.
Oh, see, here we go.
Damn, I'm sorry I missed that.
But Billy, you know, you kind of laughed when I said that I have been a fan since before it came out. I ordered 1 and 2, pre-ordered them along with the lithographs. I don't remember where it was, if it was in Wizards of the Coast or what have you, but it was, if you pre-order this, you get these lithographs. And then, buddy, I actually had this tattoo done 25 years ago. Yeah,
Are
it's
you
a little
kidding me? Is that like the first? Did you get the first She tattoo ever?
I think so, but I don't know for sure. But it was right after 1 and 2 came out. You had a sun back behind her, but I put the symbol there. Yeah. That was done by Randy Adams in Arlington, Texas. He's a world-renowned tattoo artist. It's a little worse for wear after 25 years, but that was my third tattoo, I think it was. That was back when they were talking Tia Kiera was going to be going to play Anna. My first wife, God bless her, she allowed me to have all of the comics on my wall, every single one. And of course, then I had Tomo, I had She Vampirilla, I had them all. And then I even had the cards, the statue right here. I don't know if you saw Anna, which that's not.
I saw that. You changed our lives by buying all that stuff, right, honey? Oh my gosh.
I said, thanks to you, I have a house and we eat regularly.
Yeah.
But you know what? But what sucked ass, man, is I had all of those, and I had 2 long boxes of Batman stuff going back years. Some asshole broke in the house, stole all my long boxes. And so when I got the Return of the Warrior, that was my first foray back into getting my She collection. I found some of the old cards, but they only had an open box with just random packs, and I was like, shit, I ain't chasing that if y'all only got 1 box.
Yeah.
Because I had all the chase cards. But anyway, so needless to say, folks, like I said in my article, I have been a fan of this comic since the beginning. And I told Deborah earlier, it was kind of one of those moments, because we've been interviewing folks in the comic book industry, and then I happened to see that Return of the Warrior was out, and it just kind of snowballed from there. I've been chasing Billy for a couple of weeks now, but we wanted to time it right because he's got another one out. And so, Billy, now that I've been doing all the talking for 4 straight minutes, why don't you tell everyone about the new campaign? And then, of course, I got some questions for you, buddy.
Sure. Yeah. Hello, everybody. You know, I'm Billy Tucci, 26-year veteran of the comics industry. I've been fortunate enough to have had this little creation, this character that I created. Oh, am I muted?
No, good? You're good.
Okay.
She's playing with me.
This comic character I created after college, and Deborah, my wife, was always there with me. I actually I was trying to work up a cover today, if I could find that photograph, and I found some photos. I know you're going to kill me, honey.
Desk, Billy.
What?
It's on your desk.
I know it's on my desk. I got to find it. Hang on. But I found old photos. Like Debbie would pose for me, you know, I don't know, honey. What time were we talking? 2, 3, 4 in the morning, 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, get up.
Hours. He would always wake me up to pose for him. So like,
And I'm looking for the damn photo. I might have put it in the scanner because I was going to print it out. Hang on.
The photos
Hang
on
on.
your desk. I walked by it before. See, this is why I stay downstairs.
All right. Yeah. So here's one. So actually, believe it or not, my mother had made a here's Debbie.
Oh,
I
nice.
still haven't used this cover. I wanted to use this cover. So here she is, and we might turn this into a trading card. I think we hit like
It's got to be. It's got to be a
like an
stretch goal.
$85,000 goal. We have the Debbie Tucci trading card.
Yeah, we just got the other cosplayer with the 65,000. So we need the Deborah Tucci playing card.
A Deb Tucci one. What do you think, honey? So, but yeah, so we did this. I did the comic sheet. It really took off right off the bat. We had ended up selling about 3 million comics. It's been printed in 5 languages. I did it for 10 years. I think there's 138 issues of She out there. And then you get burnt out. You get burnt out doing the same character over and over again. So I decided, okay, let me do some Marvel and DC stuff because I had become friends with everyone at Marvel, everyone at DC. And I said, okay, let me do some of that. So I had fun working for them. But it's very frustrating working for another company, especially if you don't know the characters. And my friend Darwin Cook had said, Marvel and DC will break your heart. And it's true because you put so much into these characters for them, and then for one reason or another, they'll reject the story idea. And it's a great idea, because and people, it's all the editors like it, and you could just see the potential of what this book could be. And of course, one of the someone up there, an editor, a suit, someone says, nah, I don't want to do that. And that's it. So what's great about publishing your own stuff and being your own creator and creating your own comics and being a master of your own domain is that you could do whatever you want. And you literally are a master of your own domain. And what I love about the independent comics community, and again, it's the same thing with crowdfunding, with Indiegogos, with Kickstarters, is that you can, there's a slogan. It's an Indian word. It's a Cherokee word called Currihi. And for anyone who ever saw a Band of Brothers, it means we stand alone together. And what I like about it is that the independent community is that we do all stand alone because we all have our own companies, our own, our own publications, our own businesses, but we are together because of how we help each other out. We help one another out because you want to grow this community, and there's no gatekeeping. There's no interference. You deal directly with the fans. And this is what I love about crowdfunding. Either it's Kickstarter or Indiegogo, is that you deal directly with the fans. And like you said, Matthew, you bought Return of the Warrior. I hope you liked it. But if you don't like it, then you're not going to buy Haikyuu, the campaign that's currently running. And it's your fans you're held accountable by the fans because when it comes down to it, they are the ones that are in charge. I believe that comics is a service industry. I think that us as creators, we have the obligation to, of course, make what we want, do whatever you want, do the comics you want, do the books what you want, but ultimately it's the fans' choice. So if the fans don't want to buy it, they don't like it, then it's not going to sell. And if you get fortunate enough to make your own comic and the fans do respond to it and buy it, man, dude, there's nothing better in the whole entire world than having somebody walk up to you with something you did, that you created, that you owned, and ask you to sign it. And then you sign it, and then they say thank you. And you're like, no, thank you. You changed our lives. So I love it. I love the whole community. I'm so excited to be able to publish our own books and have this campaign going like it does. It's amazing. It's just amazing. And it's really a joy and a privilege to be able to make comics and have people like you, Matthew. I didn't even know you. And look, you have my She statue up in your home. And it's just.
And on his body.
What?
And on his body.
Yes. And on your body even more. So that's right. That you get that probably. From what I know, I think you most likely had the very first She tattoo ever made in the world.
It had to. It was the year that She came out. That's for sure.
Yeah,
and it had to probably have been February. So I'm not sure when She launched, but because I usually got my tattoos at my birthday, And I went to Randy Adams, and Randy Adams was a comic book fan too, or is a comic book fan. We went to the same comic book store. And so I brought this lithograph in, and I gave it to the guy, and he goes, well, let me see how much they say it's going to be. And he took it back to Randy, and he comes back and he goes, Randy said it'll be this much, but it's probably going to be an hour and a half before you can get it. And I said, okay, no problem. Well, then he comes right back 5 minutes later, and he said, actually, Randy said he wants to do this himself. Come on back.
Nice.
Because Randy was a She fan as well. And so that, like I said, man, it is so worse for wear because I've gained weight, lost weight, gained weight. But it's still one of my favorite tattoos. It was one of the first ones that wasn't just above short sleeve level. It was, if I wore shorts, you were going to see Anna.
Nice.
And so, yeah. And I had even sent you a picture because at the back of the comics, you did the little letters and stuff.
Yeah, when she hits the fans.
Yeah, exactly. She hits the fans. That was it. And so, but one thing I have to know, you said that this project started after college. How the hell did you come up with this idea of this female, beautiful woman who's got her day job? She's like Batman, kind of got her day job, but then she is a modern day samurai. So where did this come from, man?
Well, I don't know, honey, you're gonna have to help me out with this one, but it basically started off as a male character. And as I developed it, at first I came up with an idea like, oh, it'll be a ninja character. Then I'm like, oh, it's a ninja cross with a samurai family. And, she means death in Japanese. And the character's original name was Ran, which means rebellion in Japanese. And it was rebelling against these two societies. But the more I got into Japanese history, the more I started to learn about the Sohei warriors. And the Sohei warriors were actually the warrior monks, the warrior priests, the warrior nuns. They were actually the Sohei with the Sohei with the priests, and the Sohei, and the Sohei were the women, with the nuns. They really weren't very pious nuns or samurai. They were basically warriors that were ordained as priests so they could build the ranks of the temples. And they were the most fierce warriors of all Japan. And after they were abolished by Oda Nobunaga, if anybody saw Shogun, he was the first unifier of Japan. I had it that they created this shadow society because a lot of the priests they left the temples. They burned the temples down, these warrior monks. So they ended up becoming komatsu, which was like traveling monk, a warrior traveling monk. And just to keep up this pious attitude, and because they did learn about Buddhism, and they actually, once they were destroyed, they learned a greater love, faith, appreciation of Buddhism, of the faith, and they embraced it after they lost everything they had, living in these amazing temples and living like kings, really. So I have it that eventually they descend into the shadows, and they become part of the Shadow Society that started 500 years ago in Japan, a shadow war between the samurai, between the Sohei, between the Yakuza, between even ninja. And the thing is that now, though, that shadow war is carried over into the modern day, and it's now being fought in the arts and entertainment, and in the boardrooms and in business and things like that. So, and basically, Anna is a soldier that's been drafted into this war, this shadow war that's existed for half a century. And I remember when I created the character, and it was a male character, but as Debbie remembers, when we went to college together at FIT, I was a fashion illustration major. And I'm like, you know what? I think this character is better suited to be a female character. And I even went to publishers to see if they would publish it. And I was told by a friend of mine, a great friend of mine now, Adam Post, who's the publisher of Triumphant. And he said, yeah, he passed up she. And he's like, yeah, Billy, girl books don't sell. Nobody wants books with female leads. So that was like the best thing he ever did for us. And next thing you know, I don't know, Deb, how do we do it? I'm like, I started to put it together. I knew nothing about maybe you can chime in. I knew nothing about publishing, but nothing was going to stop me from making my own comic. And I'm like, not only that, but I'm going to make a full color comic. I had no idea what I was doing, Matthew, at all. And by God's grace, we end up doing it. Right, honey? I mean, if you want to explain it, maybe you know a little.
Well, I mean, anytime Billy has an interest in anything, now we have that expression that you go down the rabbit hole because it's so easy to do now with advent of the internet. Billy was going down the rabbit hole way before the internet. He always had obsessive interests, and the minute
there with you, Billy,
had that taste of Japanese culture and Japanese art, he couldn't get enough of it, and everything kind of stemmed from that. How we went from transition from man to woman, I'm not 100% sure, but looking back on it, it was very natural for Billy to, as it still is, for Billy to draw women and to create women, because he was raised by a very strong mother. He married a very strong woman. He's always been, his sister, again, who played a very pivotal role in his childhood, also a very strong woman. So this is just really what he knows, right? We always tell artists, create and do what you know. That's what Billy knows, strong women. So when you couple that with his love of art, his love of beauty, his love of Japanese culture, it all kind of just happened very organically. And then once, and again, Billy being obsessive, once he figured out that was what he wanted to do, full steam ahead. It didn't matter. He was going to figure it out on the fly, and he did. And we ran it. We started a partnership with a company that who shall remain nameless, that at one point actually tried to steal the character from him. And we kind of get out of that deal at the 11th hour. And at that point, we just borrowed, begged, and stole whatever we needed to get the book into Diamond. And there, but for the grace of God, things and
it's like I said in the article, that when I saw that ad, and I bet anything it was in Diamond, because at that time I had a really good friend that had a comic book store, and I was really into the indie comics. But when I saw the artwork, the cover art for 1 and 2, and the 2 lithographs, and just probably a 2-paragraph little synopsis of what this comic was going to be, it drew me in. But then Billy, just like what he freaking said, he decided to do full color interior, and it was this beautiful storyline that just drew you in. And that's really what got me into comics. I didn't get into comics till late in life, and that was because of the artwork and the stories. The whole epitome of what she was, but the interior artwork and the storyline is what kept me. The cover art drew me in, but the storyline was just phenomenal. And Billy, I suffer from OCD, not the kind of, I don't have to flip the light switch 9 times, but if I start playing a video game, my kids used to get madder than hell because I always had to be the best, and I'd beat them. If I go into my show Geeky, Cheeky, and Downright Freaky, Meredith knows this, I fall down rabbit holes all the time with the Mandela effect and the Georgia Guidestones and all this stuff. I get really obsessive on that stuff. But with she, it was just such an enthralling story, and that's why I liked comics. It was kind of like our modern day fables and our gods, and Anna being this mild mannered, and I forget, she's a museum worker, right? It's been a while.
She worked at an art gallery.
That's it. Yeah.
And now she's the cultural curator of the Brooklyn Botanic Garden. So she's moved up in life because for those that don't know, that the comic has progressed in the past 20. This story, the Haikyō and the Return of the Warrior story, actually takes place 20 years after The Way of the Warrior. So now Anna is a single mother raising her teenage daughter. Her husband's in jail. Her husband was the police officer in the comic who became a vigilante, but learned the hard way that crime does not pay. And so she, her warrior days are far behind her, and then it all comes back.
Now,
and
Billy,
it comes back in a big way.
I gotta ask, man, because you said earlier you took that break, you went to work with DC and Marvel, and then you go back, you come back, and you do a crowdfunding campaign, and it freaking blows up.
Yeah.
Everyone was excited. Word of mouth is going nuts that Anna is back, and we get. I mean, I'll show you here, folks. If y'all didn't get in on this, this is the level that I bought, and of course I got all this swag, which if you look in the upper right hand corner, that's the first two covers. That was absolutely beautiful. But we got all kinds of stretch goals here. But so Billy, how was it after all these years coming back and going, okay, I want to get back to Anna, it's been a while, and then just seeing the reception, man, how was that?
Yeah, it was amazing because I was really terrified, to be honest, that anybody would even remember who she was. I mean, I hadn't done it in 15 years, and now we're taking the character. She's not going to be the 3-year-old waif, the beautiful ballet dancer type. She's now a 45-year-old mother. There's a fun scene where she's putting on the comic and she actually rips the costume because she hasn't worn it in so long. And, she's gained weight in all the wrong places and things like that. And just to make to have a comic book grow up. And that's what I loved about it. Like, my wife's never looked more beautiful. We've been together for so long, 30 years, but she's never looked more beautiful to me than she does now. And I wanted to have a comic character like that of a comic character grows up of a mature woman. Why not have that? They all don't have to be 22, 25.
Right.
Why not have someone that has the weight of the world on their shoulders now? And, her main priority, again, she was a soldier in the war. She wasn't Superman or something. And, she's finally at peace, found some sort of peace. And then, of course, a series of events happen, and that's no longer happening. That's gone now. And of course, she ends up actually, her daughter ends up being kidnapped by this copycat she killer, and someone who's obsessed with her and the she story. And now she's got a real purpose for action, as opposed to being told what to do or ordered what to do. Now she's out there to save her cub, and it's cool. I mean, it's fun, man. It's a fun story. I love it.
And I'm absolutely loving it. I can't wait for this next one. And my God, man, I mean, I don't know where how they set records on the crowdfunding stuff, but dude, and I do know that nobody is going to beat Spawn because that dude McFarlane just freaking went nuts when he came on. But it is you've already hit 65,000. You had a really low goal. You've got some fantastic stretch goals. I'm excited as hell, man, because I'm getting more you're excited about her again. You're bringing Anna back. You've got these ideas. One thing I got to know, man, because, and then I've got to give Meredith a chance to answer a question. She hasn't muted me yet, so I'm okay. But we had the freaking tease 2 decades and a half ago with Tia Kiera as possibility, which she was perfect in my eyes. Are there any inklings of a possible movie deal?
I don't know, Deb, you want to answer that?
All right. So the Tia Carrera movie deal was very exciting to all of us. We all loved it. And then she did Relic Hunter and killed it. So that deal expired once she did Relic Hunter. There was no way for her to come back and do the movie. And the rights have been with a movie producer for, how old is William? 18 years now.
Yeah, and we actually were sending the contracts to lawyers because we're not sure if they still hold the rights to it.
But they did. They retained the rights for a long time, and we were not getting anywhere. So we told them that we were removing the rights from them, and they exercised the right, meaning they bought the rights to the movie. They had at the time a director in place, and they were working with a production company, and all of a sudden it kind of just fell off the radar.
Yeah.
So
and this is it's a real producer who just produced Angelina Jolie's last film. But we just have to see now, because now that we're getting offers, or people questioning about, are the film rights available?
Right.
So we have to send our existing contract to a lawyer to see if it is, and if it is, then we've got to talk. If it is still part of this producer, then we've got to get a serious meeting with the producer.
Because, man, I mean, they're regurgitating so much crap in Hollywood.
God, yeah.
And Anna and this whole storyline, what I would like to see, because Hollywood screws things up and they go, okay, we're going to do a trilogy. And they cram so much shit and cut stuff out of the first one. And then the third one, they try to stretch into 2. What I would like to see is a series, whether it's Amazon Prime or Netflix or one of those, to where we get a series where we can get the original storyline and even some of those crossovers. Because whoever the dumbass was that told you that a lead woman wasn't going to sell, I mean, we know, Witchblade and Lady Death and She.
That was before all of them. You have to keep
right.
Yeah,
right.
Remember, Lady Death came out in February of '94. She came out in March of '94. Witchblade actually debuted in the Cyblade She crossover of '95. So
exactly.
It's kind of cool, that we had a little something to do with that.
It is.
But yes, and I agree with you. I would rather do a television series. I would love to do a Netflix show. I think the character's really geared towards television. I actually had pushed them to do that initially, because I remember when Xena was on, I'm like, more people watch Xena every week, and Hercules. This is back then. This is how long ago this was. Than all the people that saw Titanic. And that's every week they watch this. So, so we'll see. It's things are always happening, and they're moving along again, especially since of all the success that the characters had. And her star seems to be rising apparently. So who knows, man? Hopefully. Well, if not, I'll make the movie myself 5.5 years. 5 years from now.
There you go. Because, and a big thing that got me thinking about it was when Marvel was doing the stuff with Netflix, the Daredevil and the Iron Fist, which I got Iron Fist tattoo up here, because they did such a good production value on that. And I could definitely see some kind of Daredevil-esque series with Anna, just using your source material. But Billy, if you have any say in the matter, you've got to find a fan that is the writer and the director. They can't go changing shit, man, because your vision of Anna is spot on. And anyone in Hollywood that goes and tries to change shit because they think, oh, this will be more marketable, screw them, man. Screw them.
Yeah.
you need to take.
Oh yeah. Well, I was told that the story was too Japanese.
Oh my God.
All right.
What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And this was a woman who told me, a woman producer. So it's like, all right. It's crazy. It's that's why Hollywood loses so much money every year, because there's so much nepotism. Someone's Uncle Bob got him a job. And that's why if we do this, if it's made, I insist on writing, at least let me write the first draft of the screenplay.
Please. Hollywood, please listen to that. And I knew this was going to happen. We are like 15 minutes past break time. Let me take a quick 45-second break, run a couple of these things that pay the bills around here. And folks, we'll be right back with Billy Tucci and his wife, Deborah. We're talking about She and all the great the stuff that is going on with this comic that has been around for 25 years this year. I'm a huge fan, and we're going to keep talking as long as I can kidnap Billy. So stand by.
Check it out. MobileEdge.com has award-winning products with innovative features and contemporary, edgy designs that empower you to look sharp and travel smart with your mobile tech. Your beloved, not to mention expensive gaming gear and mobile tech devices, are an extension of you, so give them the protection and style they deserve wherever you go. Find them at mobileedge.com and protect your tech with Mobile Edge. Bring it on. Hey Geek Insiders, Mobile Edge has a special coupon code for our dedicated listeners. Get 25% off your Mobile Edge gear using coupon code GEEK25. That's GEEK25. Geek out.
Now, every Sunday morning, longtime independent comics creator and Indie Volt podcaster Randy Zimmerman hosts a discussion on the lighter side of comics, the more whimsical and fun comics out there, on the Sunday Funnies. That's 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday on Indie Volt, indievolt.com, the Indie Volt YouTube channel, and the usual Indie Volt sites on Facebook. Listen in, won't you? Participate in the chat. Let's have some fun. See you there.
And we're back. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to our live listening audience. We've got Sarah, Dan Stockwell, Jason Weatherly, Rob Anderson, and anybody else who, sometimes StreamYard gets a little goofy and we don't see all of your comments. So make sure that you give a shout out and we'll check back with you later.
And piggybacking off of that, folks, if you're listening to this on Indie Volt Radio, on the rebroadcast, or any of our podcasts on all the major podcast platforms, remember, you can see this live on Mondays and Thursday nights. Geek Speak is live at 9 p.m. Eastern. We always have kick-ass guests. Well, I can't say always, but we usually have some kick-ass guests. And if not, then I'm drinking whiskey and making Meredith mad, and it's still entertaining. And so make sure you tune in on Mondays and Thursday nights live on our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Facebook. We put the live links out there all the time. Mm-hmm. Deborah, I've got it. Well, go ahead.
I just want to go down here. Rob Anderson said strong women characters are fascinating. Sarah agrees. Strong women characters they're badasses, and the public loves them if they are allowed just to be badasses. I mean, Do we have anything to say about that?
Well, it's true. There you go.
Well, it was kind of funny because when she came out, I have to admit that was the first time besides Jessica Rabbit where I was like, damn, this comic book chick is hot. And, then, I found Lady Death, and then you had the juxtaposition of Evil Ernie with that. And I love Evil Ernie in a way wrong way. But, these kind of comics just really opened me up to just so much kick-ass storytelling. And that's the thing. I love to read. I've always been a reader. I was a Stephen King fan early on. And I Grisham, and I like a wide variety of stuff, especially if it's a unique story. And when Meredith joined me over here at Geek Insider, one of our biggest things was the indies. We both love the indies. We have made great relationships with Full Moon Features. We just had Charles Band on a couple of weeks ago, which he's the creator of, Puppet Master and Doll Man and just so many great movies. And we have just really forged these relationships with so many comic book creators and actors and writers. The list goes on. And that's what we love about Geek Insider, is that the owner has pretty much afforded Meredith and I to do with as we want. And I started doing these interviews just because simply I hated transcribing recording interviews for the website for articles. And I told Meredith, I was like, please, let's do something where I ain't got to try, because listening to someone talk and me trying to type, it's out the window. That's a whole nother story. But the She comic, and I've mentioned this earlier, that a lot of comics are like our modern fables, our gods. I mean, we've got Superman, which you could, equate with Thor and what have you, or Zeus. But Anna is this, and I think this is one reoccurring theme that I always go towards. I love Batman because he doesn't have superpowers. And you know, I love though Grifter, which a lot of people don't know who Grifter is, but from Wildcats, he didn't have really superpowers. He's just a badass.
Yeah.
And Anna is just raised to be a badass and kind of forced into that life. Now, earlier, let me see if I can find it. Somebody asked, Dan asked, where can I purchase the past comics? So, Billy, besides going and hunting in their local comic book shops or scouring eBay and Amazon, do you BillyTucci.com, or is there anywhere that folks can get a hold of these original She comics?
Well, I have a whole storage filled with them, and our goal is to get that organized in 2021, and then have a really strong, eBay store or just our website to have the She library of books. A lot of them, She #1s, a lot of the more collectible ones are gone. They just sold out. But we have copies of some of the original print runs still. And I mean, that's really Debbie's thing. And that's our goal, that if this campaign does well enough, we'll be able to build a whole fulfillment center, a small office that is really for fulfillment, and have a nice library, have everything cataloged, all the books in long boxes and short boxes, describe, so we know exactly what it is. And then we're planning on hiring someone full time to actually be that fulfillment person, to actually put the books out online, to fulfill them, to ship them out. Make sure I sign them, bag them, board them, pack them up. And that's our goal, is to become not only just a boutique publisher and do 4 crowdfunded campaigns a year, but also have a full-time website. And we have someone designing a website for us right now, a new BillyTucci.com website with a store that has very easy to use, and a one-stop shopping, very similar to like what Brian Polito does with Coffin Comics. What Ethan Van Sciver does with All Caps Comics, and to have something like that. That's our goal. But for now, I guess they'd have to go on eBay and get them.
Can I add something to that?
Yes, ma'am.
Forgetting my darling. After the current, so right now we're about a quarter of the way, or a little more than maybe a third of the way through the Haikyuu campaign. The next campaign on our schedule, which will be launched on Indiegogo and on Kickstarter, I'm not sure the order or if it'll be simultaneous, will be the She Way of the Warrior Omnibus.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, folks, y'all just heard it.
Yeah.
Okay, see, because I was fixing to say, Billy, if you put up a short box or a long box of whatever She stuff you got, I'm in, because I need to replace what some asshole stole.
Yeah.
I don't have to have everything. I don't have to have the cards and everything, but I want the story. I want my comics. I want to be able to read that story because I've loved it from the beginning. And you all having a store and anything that y'all are able to do, the omnibus, make sure I get the press release on that, because we will push it out on Geek Insider and make sure
anyone that pledges on any of our campaigns gets every press release.
Yep. And I ignore a lot of press releases. I read my She press releases.
Thank you, Matt. Yeah, and that's going to be 464 pages, a hardcover. It's going to have all 13 issues of Return of the Warrior, plus the 6 issues of the Tomo story that was written by Dan Mishkin and illustrated by Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti, that laces throughout the series. So it's going to be massive. Like if I dropped it off of a roof, it'll kill you. So
I was going to say, I've got to keep an eye on Matthew, because he would probably sell a kidney to get that collection. I'm just saying. But I did actually want to ask a question.
My kids are lucky they're grown, or I would sell them.
I did actually want to ask Deborah a question, because it is Geek Insider. You two have been working together for a long time. How have you not killed each other?
Look, she's thinking for an answer. It depends on the day of the week.
There are some days that we get close enough that we almost do. We We do, but we have a really weird dichotomy of a relationship where we're very different from one another, first of all. So it's that whole opposites attract things. My weaknesses are his strengths. His weaknesses are my strengths. So we tend to balance each other out. That being said, we are both very strong-minded, stubborn people. So there's a
I'm not stubborn.
What?
You're the stubborn, not me. I'm not stubborn. You're the stubborn one.
And you're about to see it firsthand.
And here comes the fight of the night. Ding, ding, ding.
Here comes the boom.
Bickering, but it's always done, at least I can only speak for myself, and I assume the same for my husband. It's always done from a place of wanting the best for
Right.
the property, the business, and our lives, and being able to put our kids through college.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Go ahead, Billy.
So it's just that simple. So, do we go to bed mad at each other sometimes? Absolutely. But
Well, the saying, you're never supposed to go to bed angry. Go to bed angry. You're supposed to stay up and fight.
there would be a lot of sleepless nights if that happened.
So when did the property become, let's just say maybe it started off as a hobby. When did that become a property that you actually wanted to pursue?
Good question.
It actually was always the goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
For Billy,
There was no
to
plan
do
B.
this. Billy. Yeah.
That's dedication.
Yeah, there was no plan B.
He Billy graduated college and went into the Army, which is kind of backwards. Most people do it in the other way.
Right.
And the other way. After that, he was designing baby clothes for Macy's. And got an offer from another company, which he took, and that company very shortly thereafter folded. So he was without a job, with 6 months worth of unemployment. And during that time, he's like, well, I have this idea. I really want to do this. I'm going for it. And
Wow.
And
unemployment
dried up, and my paycheck took over. And
And if you anybody who's tuning in, if you head over to the Instagram account, it's Billy_Tucci, and you're going to see some of those old photos.
Oh no! Oh yeah, you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't use Instagram as much as I should because it's all on your phone, right? Oh, there's Matthew.
Hey, Matthew, I'm Matthew. One of my most embarrassing moments as a geek, as a self-proclaimed geek, back when she first came out and you were doing the She Hits the Fan, I wrote into you and I sent you a picture of my tattoo. And I don't know what happened, if I was just drunk when I wrote it, or if spell check somehow got me on a typewriter or whatever, or email,
Did
whatever.
you get a cease and desist?
No.
No.
I called him Billy Tucci. Tucci, that's what it was.
Oh,
And he comes back and he goes, dude, my name's not Tushy. It's Tucci.
did I say that? Oh,
And I guarantee you, even getting this email or whatever it was, I turned beet red because I'm loving this guy's work. And I knew it was Tucci. I don't know how the fuck I spelled it, just Tushy.
that's funny.
But and I think it was probably Tushi. I combined the she, but it was totally Tushy. But he's like, dude, my name's Tucci, not Tushy.
well, I will tell you to this day that our last name gets a lot of misspellings and mispronunciations. Liar.
Now, Billy, you've got the Christmas comic that is beautiful, and I definitely want that for my granddaughter. And you mentioned that you got into She, or the idea for She, after college. But how did you get into comics and the artwork? And was your family early on supportive of this, or were they like, okay, what are you going to do for a living?
Yeah, not really. I don't know, Deb. You want to explain? Do you remember? You were there. How did I get into this? I remember when I graduated from college, and we went up. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say when Billy graduated, even though Billy's older than me, I graduated college a year before him. So when he graduated college, we met in college, first of all. So when he graduated, I took him on a little mini trip for his graduation present. And it was on that trip that all of this really got its beginnings, that he started showing me certain comic books. I don't know. I don't remember whose it was. And he mentioned that. Sorry. Go ahead. In or out. Make up your mind. He mentioned that a good friend of ours had a dad who was working at Marvel Comics at the time, and had said, what Billy did after looking at Billy's artwork, that he would be a natural in the comic industry, and forced Billy to think about it at that point. Just because, here he had just graduated and had the whole world in front of him, and how he went from comics to the army, I'm not quite sure. But it kind of always was there from that point on, that it was just something that was a direction that he could and should go into.
Were you into comics before that point, Billy?
When I was a kid, I was. When I was a little kid, of course I was. And then the older I got, it's really two things. What drove me away from comics was once I got into junior high school, and aside from girls and dirt bikes and playing hockey, that was pretty much what I did. Was the better I got the better I got at art, when I'm like, wow, people are like, oh, you're good at art. And I started seriously thinking of making art a career. The farther I drew away from comics, because I could not. I was looking at Joe Kubert art and Dave Stevens with The Rocketeer, Frank Miller, looking at George Perez, you know what I mean? Looking at John Byrne, look at its art, and like, I could never do this. I can't do this. I could never be good enough at doing this. So I really got pushed away from it. I still wanted to do art. I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be an illustrator. But I went to school for illustration. But then one of my buddies brought me the Amazing Spider-Man number 300 into class. And he had it, and I looked at it, and that was a Todd McFarlane cover, the cover you have, the homage cover you have right there. And it was Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man. And I saw Todd's art, and I'm like, wow, this is so different. He's taking liberties with anatomy, with perspective, with facials. It's not that perfect John Romita face. Right. And I'm like, if this guy can do this, I can do this. It doesn't have to be, and he made me believe that I can do art like that too. And then I saw, Rob Liefeld's work, and then, Jim Lee. I thought Jim Lee was still just so great. Mark Silvestri. Right. And then they inspired me, because even though they were far better than I could ever be, those two guys, then I'm like, you know what? I can do this. And then I went to comic, and I built a portfolio. I went to comic conventions. I got rejected by everyone except for Brian Polito, who offered me a pinup in a book, which ended up being the Lady That Swimsuit issue.
Oh,
yeah.
I forgot about that.
That's San Diego, 1993. And I came home, and I told Debbie I met this guy, and he's making his own comics. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make my own comic. I can do this, because I got rejected by Marvel and DC, and not nicely, actually. So I was like, the hell with this. I can do it myself. I'm going to do it myself. And then that's what got in my head. And that was it then. Then I was off to the races. And that was San Diego. That was August of 1993. And She Way to Warrior got hit comic shops in March of 1994. And then it's San Diego the next year. And I could show you the video if you want me to share it, if I may, Deb.
Heck yeah.
In San Diego,
look at her face.
Us and Coffin Comics, Chaos Comics, and Brian Polito, and we were the hits of the show.
Look,
and if you don't mind me finding it, let me find it, Deb. I love this video, and you'll see Debbie. Let's see, YouTube. Let me see if I can find it, and I'll share it. I spell it right. Okay, hang on. All right, here you go. So let me cue it up. All right, I pause it. Let me share my screen if I may.
You bet.
And this is 1994. at the San Diego Comic-Con, and this is when we got on the local news network, but we ended up being covered by E-Television as well, if you want to share that, Meredith. All right, so here we go. I'll play it. Oh, shit. I gotta stop, and I got to share my audio. Hang on, I'm sorry. Give me a second.
No problem.
I got to share it again. I don't know why they do that. They always ask you to share audio, like you got to click it when automatically you should.
Right.
I always screw that
Everyone
up.
does. Everybody does. All right, here you go.
There we go.
So I'll make it bigger. All right, here we go.
From KNSD, Denise Yamada, Roland Smith, and Joe Lazaro Weather. KNSD First News at 4.
Hello, everyone. I'm Margaret Radford in for Denise Yamada. Move over Superman. It no longer takes a male superhero to knock down the enemy. We visited the San Diego Comic Convention today and found that more and more comic heroes have brawn, brains, and breath. The comic convention always draws a crowd. People can't wait to get their hands on Superman, Spider-Man, and she. She? Her name means death in Japanese, and she's hot.
But she's not a bimbo. She has intelligence. She has depth. She does not have the balloon boobs and the overly curvaceous body. She's realistic.
Some people might dispute that, but the fact is, readers love her. And a growing number of fit and mighty don't mess with
That's
these
your tattoo
powerhouses.
image.
Oh yeah, I like tougher women, you know. I'm not explaining, like more independent type women.
The independence of them, because they don't need a man to bring them through everything.
She certainly doesn't need a man to help her solve problems. In one obvious way, she stands out from the others.
Yeah, very well endowed. Very much so. We hear everything from does Lady Death's back hurt, and all sorts of other rude things. But once they read the story, they realize that she's very cool and she's more than a breast or two breasts.
The stories are very well written. They give them a brain, things that weren't there 20 years ago. But they still the sex is there because sex sells.
But their creators, nearly all men, deny practicing a sex sells strategy.
She does show skin, but I think tastefully. I mean, I'm going to keep the comic book tasteful.
Personally, and that there's nothing more beautiful in the whole world than the female form.
Wonder Woman has kept her form for some 50-some years, but some things never change. Teen boys are the primary readers of comic books, and many don't really like girls.
I think that there is a little bit more acceptance for female heroes than there was, but still it's not an equivalent balance. I think it's reflective of our readership and sometimes of our creative pool, still being primarily male.
Then again, Superman never had a swimsuit issue, and Lady Death does. The San Diego Comic Convention runs through Sunday at the San Diego Convention Center.
Yeah, and that's it.
That's beautiful, man.
Right?
Oh my goodness.
I love telling this story about Brian because we had a convention in Cleburne, Texas. Buddy of mine that had the comic book store, he got the convention center, and he actually flew in several people. Doggone it, I'm going to forget his name now. He's a Spider-Man artist, but anyway. Brian Polito was one of them, and Brian, she was his fiance at the time. They came in, and he was so thrilled that we had a Mexican restaurant in town called Polito's. So we had to go to it, and they loved it. Me and Brian went out back at one point, and we may or may not have participated in some recreational activities of the rolling up kind, but Brian really surprised me and just kind of made me feel good because I stayed up all night that night running security at the stadium or the convention center. And he came up to me the next day and he said, "Brother, I want to let you know something." He said, "This is the first time that I've come back in the morning and I didn't have a ton of my shit disappeared." And he ended up giving me a bunch of cool Lady Death stuff. Unfortunately, it all got stolen along with my she stuff, but that was just badass at the time. You know, not only did I smoke a doobie with Brian Polito, but you know, he was happy that I didn't rip him off and steal all of his shit while he was gone. But that was just, you know, that's a small aspect of the way the indie folks are, because you know, we all know when the indie folks go to the conventions, 9 times out of 10, they are freaking ecstatic if they break even, if they sell enough just to cover their hotel, their food, and get the word out a little bit. So hopefully the next edition sells a little bit better. And we, like I said many times, we love the indies here. We're always trying to help them in any way we can. But Brian, you have Crusade Comics. Not only she, you know, you have Crusade Comics. You are a big advocate for the indies. You've been friends with some of the biggest names in the indie industry.
Mm-hmm.
What really drove, I mean, I guess you kind of have really already touched on this because you get the creative aspect, but what all did really push you to just say, screw this, I want my own control?
I think it's that outlaw mentality, you know, and all of us indie creators, we're all outlaws. That's what we have in mind. We're all outlaws. We're all little kids, and we all married smart women that knew nothing about comics before they got into it, and run our companies for us, because we'd all be poor without them, every one of us. And you never see so many eye rolls in your life than when you see the us indie creators get together with our wives and we're at dinner at a convention and us just talking and telling our stories, and then you see the wives eye roll, right?
Now,
truth.
Billy.
Yeah,
you of course have hit a lot of comic book conventions over the years. Now, personally, I have found that some of the smaller conventions are better than the larger ones. Have you found that? And backed up on that, what is your favorite convention that you've ever been to?
Jeez, man. I do agree with that. It depends, like, what's a small convention now, because you can have these small-ish conventions, or they start off small, but they're run by the same people. Like, you know, like Mark Nathan with the Baltimore Comic-Con is huge now, but it's still like a small convention. Shelton Drum with Heroes World. You have Mitch Halleck with the Mohegan Sun Con, a terrific con up in Connecticut. That's a great show. You have Rob. Oh, geez, why am I drawing a blank on Rob's last name? Robert Young, who has the South Carolina Comic-Con. Those are great shows. Our friend Mike, who has the Orlando Toy and Comic-Con down in Florida that we do every year when they have it. That's a show we love. And we just love we love the family aspect of it all. We love to know that we become friends with these promoters. And it's tough to say. I don't know, Deb, what do you think? What's the most fun?
Before I answer that, I just want to bring something to your attention that I've just realized, that to listen to you answer that question, what you like about those shows is exactly what we were talking about before with indie comics. The shows that the developer, the person who started the show, grew it and kept it true to its cause, are the shows that we like. It's the same thing in independent comics, right? Yeah. It's the people who create their own characters and draw them and write them and publish them are really what's growing right now. And it's the same thing for comic conventions. So many great conventions have been sold, and the minute they're sold, they lose everything that was wonderful about them. MegaCon is a perfect example of that. Yeah. We grew with MegaCon for so many years. We were a staple there every year. The minute, was it Reed? Is it Reed that bought them?
No, it wasn't Reed. It was the Canadian company.
Well, the minute they were purchased, we have not been back since.
And
so we haven't been invited back or anything. So,
yep.
And after, probably 15 years, I went to my first Comic-Con last year. And enjoyed it. It was a small county, but they had 3 huge convention centers. There was some great guests. They had great artist alley, and it was just really nice. I enjoyed it. And I was like, man, 15 years ago, conventions were hella different. You had the 3/4 naked women that were around, for every cover. It was totally geared at just horny guys, and you didn't want to take your kids to it. You didn't. I mean, I took a 14-year-old boy, and we saw this one woman with her knockers way out here, and he turns to me and he goes, well, them are some all-day suckers. And so I'm like, oh my God. And this was a next door neighbor's kid. And so I'm like, shit, I'm going to get in trouble here. And so I'm kind of thinking that same thing is going to happen. But I go to this, it's called Bell County Comic Book Convention, or Bell County, BCCC. But anyway, it was great. I enjoyed it. I won't throw the name out, but I went to one in downtown Austin, Texas that same year, just a few months later. The guests that they had were all C-list. I mean, people that hadn't been popular since the 70s and 80s. Some of them were outright dicks. Some of the others were really cool. Don't get me wrong. I met some really cool folks, and I love that. I can sit and bullshit with anybody. But when you got somebody that hasn't been popular since 78 and they're a dick to you, and then the PR people are kind of dicks, it was a bad taste in my mouth. It's a very known, popular convention. They're doing a lot of virtual stuff now. I won't deal with them just because of that and some other things that has happened since then. But it just seems to me, and like you said, even this one, it started out small. I went there thinking this is going to be a super small convention, and I saw some of the best cosplay there, met some really great artists, and we actually had one on a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago. Then I was like, I met you in Bell County. And he's like, oh yeah, I remember that. But anyway, that's what I was just kind of wondering, because I know, like we mentioned earlier, you got to shell out a lot of money for these conventions. Even if they're in your own neighborhood, you've got to spend time packing everything up and renting your table and just getting out there. And so I was just wondering if that's kind of the theme that's all the way around, is that these ones that are the indies, that these folks are putting their hearts and souls into, and they're doing this for the right reasons. They're not trying to make money, as opposed to the big names that are just doing this because they've gotten the name and it's the annual thing to do. Meredith and I, like I said, we've done these virtual conventions, and we only did that to augment with the brick and mortar. We don't want to replace them. We want to coincide with them. But we are seeing a lot of unscrupulous virtual conventions coming out where they're trying to charge people and charge visitors. Are you guys seeing any of that? Are y'all being, offered, hey, come on over, but we're going to charge $10 a ticket to come on this virtual thing? Are y'all seeing any of that?
I haven't done any of them.
Yeah, we haven't. I don't think we've been invited to do any of them, have we?
Yeah, we haven't. We were supposed to do one, and I don't think it ever transpired. I don't think it ever happened. But yeah, no, we haven't done any.
The virtual conventions we've done so far have been the New York Comic-Con virtual and the San Diego virtual.
No, we didn't even do New York Comic-Con virtual. We just did San Diego.
Well, yes, we did.
We
did?
Were done
by, yeah, they're really done by you. Really just giving them a link to your store, and people come by and they have like a master.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's the closest we've come to a virtual convention, but we weren't part of any panels or anything there that would have allowed us any interaction. But what you were saying about your Bell County convention, there are conventions that we like because they are, they help us pay the rent or the mortgage or whatever you want to call it. And then there are conventions that we love to go to because of the people that are there,
Right.
When you're in the business as long as Billy's been, we have what we call a family, which are fans that became friends that then became like family to us. And one of the hard parts of COVID is, me, and I'm sure Billy feels the same way. You don't realize how much you depend on conventions to see these people in your life. There's a group of people we only see in San Diego, or that we only see in Arizona, or that we only see in Florida. And now that because of COVID and the advent of COVID and the lack of conventions, how many people we really genuinely miss. Thankfully we can talk to them on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever, but it's not the same,
Yeah.
Even if somebody that hangs out at the booth that we talk to for a couple hours over a weekend, we did it every year, and it's been really hard emotionally, I think, and socially for us to miss these people.
Now, one thing
I don't know if that kind of your question, but and then and it kind of goes that way with conventions too. There are conventions we go to just because we have to be there and we have to have a presence there. And there are conventions that we go to because we know we're going to see these people and they're more fun for us. Yeah, we need to make money at those too. It's the whole purpose of it for us. Is to, whether it's immediate dollars, or like you said, getting the word out so that you can meet more people and expand your readership. But a large part of it is also that we get to have a good time at these. There are people we enjoy seeing, or maybe it's in a city we don't get to visit much on our own, that we get to see a little part of. I always love when we get invited to a European convention for that reason, because we don't have European travel. But if we get invited to one, you know what? We make sure we tack on 2 or 3 days and get to see a small part of that city or that country. So, there's a lot of different facets to conventions and what our favorites are and for what reason.
And Sarah, she said she wouldn't pay to watch a virtual convention. If I'm going to pay, I'm going to go when they start up again. Virtual cons are great, but I wouldn't pay to be at my laptop and not in person with the full experience. And I couldn't agree more.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, that's the whole thing that when Meredith and I started this up, we can rightfully say we were, if not the first, we were one of the first virtual conventions. Because what was it, Meredith? Something got canceled in Florida.
No, it was, I think it was before MegaCon.
Yeah, it
Because
was before MegaCon.
This was in April that we launched it. I mean, we basically put something together in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And it was exhausting, but it was fun. And each one that we've done since has mutated. We've grown. We've taken some of the things that we've learned from it and rejected some of the other things. And to the point where I don't really call them conventions.
No,
because they're not. I mean, everybody's on Zoom this year. Everybody's on StreamYard or Zoom or Skype or something like that. So to call it a convention is really not true. So I've always liked to call them networking events, because if we can be social and we can find new people to sit in these chairs with us, and, hopefully our audience that's new to you will go and be curious and check you out and, stalk you on social media. and the same thing, it's like maybe your audience will come over to Geek Insider. And so we find that whole networking aspect of it very important. And the idea of charging somebody for that is just ridiculous. I mean, unless I'm getting something for it, I don't know. I mean, do you have a convention, an online convention t-shirt? I might buy a t-shirt if it's really cool, but we've tried different things with trying to do a seller's aspect, where if every creator had their own profile page with a link to their store, use QR codes and all of these things, because a lot of people, Deborah, you probably know this, they are not marketing savvy at all. A lot of independent creators would rather be creating than marketing themselves. So any kind of tool, so in a way it was almost like a learning experience for them.
Yeah. Well, and you have to, how you would market a virtual convention versus a physical convention are two totally different things as well. So somebody or a group of people like you who are doing this on the fly, I'm sure there's a huge learning curve for you guys.
Oh, definitely.
What you're learning each time and taking and growing with, you could be creating a whole new experience a year from now based on all this that doesn't exist right now, which is exciting. And you guys should be proud of yourselves for doing that.
And speaking, Anvu is here, and she actually helped to organize 101 Tales. So a big shout out to them and over at
We had a
Comics
blast
Plex.
with them.
It was a lot of fun. Many late nights, but again, it was just that whole networking aspect where I have, because of events like that, even events like this, just sitting here and saying, oh, you're new to me. I want to find out more, and hopefully that generates into sales, because a lot of people, I try to tell people this all the time, people connect with people, they don't necessarily connect with things. Matthew's a little different, he's loved She forever. I think if She was like turned into a person, that'd be it. We wouldn't see him again.
Well, I had a thing for Tia Kiera for a long time because I was like, oh, yeah, I could see her in that outfit. Come on.
But now we are past an hour, and we do appreciate your time. We probably need to get you going here. But Matthew, I always usually screw up this last question.
Well, I wanted to post a campaign for the new She, but I'm trying to grab it and it's really long.
Oh, I've actually I've got that. If we want to do the share screen here.
Yeah, there we go. For one thing, you guys can see he and they are already over $60,000, almost at $61,000 of the $15,000 flexible
with
goal.
19 days left.
19 days left, and it's already hit several kick-ass stretch goals. And folks, I showed the picture earlier of all the stuff that I got with this last campaign, but the artwork on this is beautiful. The storyline is great. You're going to want to pick up Return of the Warrior before this one, but just make sure you can check out.
You can grab Return of the Warrior on this one, both digitally or physically.
And like I said earlier, I'm getting a hard copy of both, the hardcover editions of both, just because that's the way I roll. I am getting my collection of She back one way or another, because like I said, I have been a fan for 25 years, and Billy and Deborah, guys, I can't thank you enough for joining us tonight. And I'm going to actually pose this question to both of you. We always ask this question, and Deborah, I'm going to start with you, so it'll give Billy a minute or two to think of his answer. But if you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Wow. I don't even know where to start with that one.
Marry Billy earlier. No.
Oh, well,
that would be his advice, because he definitely dragged his feet on that one. I don't know. I think maybe just have a little more faith. I'm a nervous Nelly, and there was a lot of angst throughout our lives, and I think I just needed to have a little more faith in the process, and a little less. Weren't we talking about whether or not we were control freaks before, Meredith? I think I needed to let go and let it happen.
Mm-hmm.
That probably would be it. I think I need to probably think about that a little bit more, but that's my first instinct, just to let go and let it happen and enjoy the ride a little more and worry less. I'm a worrier. Enjoy it while it was happening and worry less.
And that's a great one. We get a lot of folks that want to come back to the question later. And of course, we have folks back. We hope to have you all back later. And so you'll just have to remember that question, Deborah. And
I will.
But Billy, you're up. You've had a couple of minutes to think about it. What would you tell your younger self?
Yeah, married Debbie. Yeah, like 1994.
All right, now that you did
That's what I do. Marry her early or right out of college. Should have married her.
Matthew gave you that one. So besides that, do you have any others?
Yeah, I wish I never picked on Anne-Marie Harvey.
I'm sure there's a story behind that.
I bullied a girl in elementary school, and it hurts me to this day of what I did to her.
Oh,
brother, I completely understand that. Last year at Christmas time, I actually messaged somebody that I was an asshole to back in middle school. And I tell you what, though, Billy, the brother sat there and thanked me and said it was something that bothered him for years. Wow. That he didn't stand up to me. And we're friends now. And because I told him, I was like, I don't know why I did that. I was just a dick. I didn't have anything against you, but I was just a dick. But folks, thank you all so much for joining us. Like I said, I've been a fan for a long time, and I'm just thrilled to have y'all. Folks, make sure you visit the Indiegogo campaign. Not only are you going to get a great book with a great story, you're going to get some kick-ass stretch goals to go along with that. It's well worth the money. Make sure you follow it.
Including the Deborah Tucci she card.
There we go. Y'all heard it here first.
Cosplay covers are getting really big and popular.
Yeah, and we've got
They are. They really are.
We've got a beautiful one with Joni Brosis. She's graced our very first ever, believe it or not, cosplay cover. After
it's beautiful.
After 26 years of she, and she looks amazing in it. She makes a beautiful she. And that's our Cyber Monday sale too. Our Cyber Monday special is the print of her. We did a special print as well. So
now, Billy, tell everybody, where can they follow you for social media updates, all that good stuff on Anna and everything else that you do?
Yeah, I guess you could just Google Billy Tucci. I think I'm just Billy Tucci on Twitter, on Instagram. I got to use my Instagram more because I know it's done with the phone, and I'm always at my computer. But I'm on Facebook, Billy Tucci. We have Crusade Comics on Facebook. We have the Tucci Troopers page on Facebook. Those are groups. But then again, if you just Google me, or you go on Twitter and you just find Billy Tucci or Crusade Comics, and both those campaigns are mine. Both of my handles, and I post every day. And you'll also, if you can pledge for the Indiegogo, for those of you that don't like Indiegogo, you pledge on Kickstarter only. We have plans to be launching on Kickstarter as well, like we did last time too.
Now, when's the new one going to ship? Because I haven't looked at that.
Well, the new book is slated to ship for April 2021. Our goal is to beat that by a month at the least.
Fantastic.
Because the book's all done, just about.
Yep. And so he just put the gauntlet down to Deborah to make sure that she gets all that done a month early. And
sounds
Merry
like
Christmas.
The whip.
But the better we do on the campaign, the earlier it can ship, believe it or not, because then we can hire those people full time to work for us.
Fantastic. Well, you guys don't go anywhere. We're going to wrap this up, and we want to say bye to you off the air. But again, thank you all so much. Folks, thank you all for tuning in. Again, if you are listening on the podcast, the rebroadcast on Indie Volt Radio, make sure you follow us and subscribe on YouTube, because that's when you can watch this stuff live with video and all the images and seeing the pretty faces like Deborah and the not so pretty Billy, but we'll forgive him because he draws a beautiful Anna. But thanks, everyone.
The camera's here. I'm looking over here at the monitor. That's why.
Meredith, you got the board?
I got it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you the next time.
See you Thursday.
At Geek Insider, we foster relationships with those in the geek sphere so we can give our audience the insider view of entertainment, tech, and more.